Hey guys, thought I'd do a quick video and talk about Fallout, the TV show. I wanted to sort of do a review, a small review, but also some of the stuff that I did have problems with, which is nitpicks, but it's more advice for the next season. So that is bound to happen because this show was incredible. Just off the bat, I had so much fun with it. I watched it over a period of 2 days because it came out. I was working on Thursday when it came out, and then I only got to watch like 4 episodes before I had to go to bed, and then I watched the rest of it last night when I got home from work. I, Flawless, it's brilliant. Like the show from start to finish, I like the three main characters. I like Lucy, I like Maximus, and I love fucking the Ghoul. Perfectly done well. I like the whole like fish out of water scene when it comes to the vault dweller like Lucy. Like I love how it felt like she's come in and she sort of has her own mindset and everything's sort of a surprise to her, and then seeing how things are and stuff like that. And and again, for people that like again, as much as we'll go into the political side of things for a second, just for a brief second, if people start complaining about the fact that she wasn't written correctly, I don't understand why. Like, granted, I can understand why people sit there and go, "Oh, well, yeah, she's throwing guys around this." And look, sometimes you have to put some fucking suspension of disbelief like aside. Sometimes, just so you can just watch a fucking show. Like Jesus fucking Christ. Like sometimes, yeah, it's a little bit in your face, and yeah, okay, there's no way that could have happened, but it's Fallout. Like, who gives a fuck? And to be brutally honest with you, right, like, regardless of whether you had a bloke or a woman in that role, the situation probably would have been the same. I don't think there would have been any difference. um, but saying that, like, she doesn't, she's a Mary, if anyone says she's a Mary Sue, which I have seen a few times, you need to watch the show. You need to watch the show quite a bit because she was a dumb idiot from the start that had no idea anything about the fucking world, and then when she got into the world, she started slowly turning, and then went to the hard-boiled character she got to towards near the end of the show. And I think she was done very, very well. I think it's perfect. I think the whole show was written very, very well. I love how they also used the Ghoul and his backstory as well too, and some small like what's the fucking phrase for it? Back in time, sort of like scenes when, like, before the war and stuff. Flashbacks, that's the word. They did small flashbacks to sort of help with the story of like getting people like they weren't had never played the games before, to sit down and actually understand the lore, understand the story, understand like the franchise, and also understand what's going on. I think that's done very, very well. The special effects, oh geez, the special effects were surprisingly really, really good. I give you guys credit. I think the special effects were brilliant, but I also want you guys to have a bigger budget, so you could do a hell of a lot more. Um, I think, I think, I think Maximus's character also going from someone that's sort of been like adopted into the Brotherhood of Steel, that was never really sort of like grown up in the Brotherhood of Steel as like a lot of other people were originally. How even in his own world, he's blindsided, and he's like and he's not all there when it comes to like knowing social norms and cues and stuff like that, which I find is really, really cool, especially with certain things like fucking like sex. That was funny. I thought that was great. Like him not understanding, him like sort of thinking that it's not normal for his penis to do the things that it does. I thought that was kind of funny. Um, like, as I said, like stuff like that, like little stuff like that, makes the world building very, very good, and also too like, how I felt about the show. Granted, it could be interpreted very differently from other people. This was just somewhat how I interpreted it when I came out of the show. Is that I felt like that Maximus and Lucy were technically were supposed to be the male or female options in the games. And I do feel like that it was done in a way that was, like it felt like those two were the main characters that you would pick or play in the game, and have two separate side like storylines. And I felt like that was done quite well. I think that, and I think the ghoul was more like your main side character that used to side character that comes in and like gives you exposition, gives you your story, gives you your goal, gives you your drive, and also too gives you and also too is also a pain in the ass and can also be also partially not good as well at the same time, like a very complex character. And I think that was done very, very well. I also like the fact that they also did little nods to the games as well too, like especially when it comes to guns, when it comes to creatures. Well, no, when I say creatures, I mean like all of three. That I'll get to later. Uh, when it comes to uh, oh my god, I'm having a fucking mental blank. Yeah, like when it comes to like a lot of the stuff that came that it's got to do with the show itself, it's done very well. Like they've done a very, very good job in how they've sorted things out. Like as well as to, like I said, that's right. Yeah, so it was the guns, the guns, the creatures that were in it, which was only three. Also, two interactions as well too. Like some of the interactions felt game like going up to them like a person at the fucking bar, and you just stand there just pretty much spitting dialogue. And the ending, a lot of people shat on the ending. I have a defense for the ending because again, it felt like a game. It felt like the video game. You are pretty much put in a rock in a fucking hard place, and you still have to smack your head hard enough in one of those places to make your decision. I loved it. It was a hard decision that she had to make, and she had to make it. Like every other Fallout game that's come before it. Granted, it was still like leaning towards more one side, but in the Fallout games, you were pretty much made to pick a side without knowing at all what the outcome could be. Full stop. And picking a side that you feel like is going to work sometimes doesn't. I think that worked out very, very well. And I felt like that also built that character development for the main character that we needed to get her to that final state. And I personally, I also love the whole vault situation. How they told the vault situation, perfect. It specifically doesn't hand feed it, but then like it sort of drips till the big slam reveal of how the vaults are and how they operate. Well, most of them anyway. Yeah, done very well. I thought that was done very, very well. Now when it comes to the story itself, I thought was again very, very good. There was a little bit of hiccups here and there, but personally for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The character development was on point. I think the CGI was on point. When it comes to the violence as well too. The action, top notch. I am kind of a little disappointed we didn't get like a, what do you call it? Granted, it wouldn't really work like normally, but it would have been cool to have that. Just even if it was just like in just not slow mode, but like in like real time, it would have been funny. Just like it's one of the people in the Brotherhood of Steel suit. So it's like as the fucking monster's moving or something like that, or he's tick 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 tick, and then he sees like bang 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 bang. That would have been great. I would have liked that. But sadly, we didn't get that, and I think we'll probably get that next season. It's definitely like sort of like it definitely is showing more that we're going to get another season. But the one thing I'm actually kind of surprised with is because this comes from the director of Westworld, or the main person that created pretty much Westworld for the most part. Each season of that, even though it was in the same universe, it was the same storyline, like all that sort of stuff, but it was different place, different time period, different characters. Even though it's still in the exact same universe. So essentially, each season was its own story. And granted, I personally wasn't a fan of Westworld. I know a lot of people were. I really wasn't. But I'm surprised that he didn't do it with this, where he just didn't have each season be self-contained. That was kind of a surprise to me because I thought that they would have done that. But I'm okay if you want to keep going with the series the way it is. Negatives. And it's to me, this is a big one. To me, there wasn't enough creatures. We've got the ghouls in the show. We've got some new creature, which I'm okay with making new creatures, by the way, because each game in the franchise always has new creatures of like bringing something in from like an animal that's sort of like known for that little area that you're playing in the game, which makes sense. So we had a fish little creature, which was a new creature, which I kind of thought was cool, and rad roaches. That's it. Like, we got to see the hand of a super mutant, but we didn't get to see any super mutants in reality. I'm gathering it's a budgetary reason. But I want more creatures. There wasn't enough. Like we had more of the. Granted, I'm okay with having the human factions because the human factions do play a big part into the story. Perfectly okay with that. But the creatures also made the world a bit more full, and we didn't really get that too much, to say the least. That was my complaint. Granted, the ghouls were done well. The rad roaches, again, they're rad roaches. They're fucking mutated fucking cockroaches. So can't really fuck them up. And the big fish, new fish, big fish monster sort of thing. I thought that was kind of cool. Thought that was kind of cool. Fucked up, but kind of cool. But apart from that, like that's really sort of my only nitpick. I'm going to go into the spoilers at the moment. There's more going through to the controversy than anything at the end of the series. So if you don't want to hear any more if you don't want to hear any spoilers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and talk about the ending. So I'll finish off the main series as a whole. I like in the review, I do find that the Fallout TV series was done very well. People said that it's probably one of the most. It is the most faithful adaptation of a video game series to date. It is extremely faithful, but I wouldn't say it is the most faithful. I would still put The Last of Us there. Granted, even though Episode 3 has their own different opinions, I personally liked Episode 3. I thought Episode 3 was done very well, especially if you know the backstory behind the two characters. I was actually kind of okay with that. But I think The Last of Us was a little bit more on point, especially when you're also directly adapting from the one specific game and putting it straight onto screen. You can't beat The Last of Us. Full stop. But the Fallout series is a very, very close second. Like, you have The Last of Us up here, and like literally just touching below is Fallout. All I'm going to say is that like it's worth it. If I had to give a number score rating out of 10, I'd give it a 9. I personally think that it's worth a watch, especially if you've never played the games and you never really play games. I do recommend watching the show. the show gives a very good insight to what the games are like, how they feel, and stuff like that. Also, too, the humor doesn't overstay its welcome, which is great. The humor is very subtle, and it's there, and it's there to break up that little bit of tension, which is good. I do highly recommend it, especially if you've never played the games, never played the games before. I do still recommend just giving it a watch. It's worth it. And my only last pieces of advice to the showrunners and stuff like that: more creatures, and see if you can get a bigger budget. That would be also very helpful. And don't fuck it up. Don't don't fuck it up. Don't go full Hollywood stupid and fuck it up. Don't push too much. Don't push too much modern day politics. Stick with the world you're in. Don't fuck it up, because this was a good solid start. This was a good solid fucking go. Don't fuck it. It's good right now. Don't screw it up. That's all I'm going to say, because this was great. Now, moving on to the spoilers. So people that don't want to listen, that haven't watched the show and don't want to be spoiled, you're more welcome to click off now. If you're not, or if you don't care about spoilers, stick around, I suppose. I'm more specifically going to be talking about the last final scene. So the main character's father, who ends up being like one of the bad guys, even though like the daughter went off to go and save him originally. She finds out that he ended up being like one of the big bads from the start of, like, before the bombs dropped from the start. And then obviously they have a bit of a fucking squabble. He gets away in a power armor suit. And the last scene we see of him is standing on a big hill with a Deathclaw head in front of him, looking at New Vegas. Now, a lot of people have got some problems with this, because apparently, timeline-wise, this doesn't match up. I kind of disagree, because this is supposed to be like a few years after New Vegas. So I don't know. Like, that's how the show was intending on being. Again, don't know. Personally, for me, I don't think it was intentional. I think we're going to be getting the New Vegas storyline in the show. Personally, for me, look, I think Todd Howard has been a little bit sort of like bullshitty when it comes to, oh yeah, no, I love New Vegas. That I don't think I don't think he hates the game, but I don't think he likes the studio. I personally, I feel like Obsidian and Bethesda didn't really end on good terms. I think it ended up being just sort of not done well. Honestly, again, there is evidence to state otherwise, but I just personally don't believe it behind closed doors, because they've been trying to push New Vegas away for a while. And I think they want to try and do their own thing. But then again, we could be wrong. In some ways, we won't know till season 2 comes out. Personally, for me, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to see New Vegas, which I'm down for. I'm down for it. Like regardless, whether it is supposed to be based after fucking New Vegas came out, or it's supposed to be based just before, and we're going to see the New Vegas storyline. Like, well, it's some version of the New Vegas storyline. I'll be okay with that. But again, I don't like the fact that the one thing, as I said, the big problem that I had with the show was the fact that there wasn't enough creatures, and they could have explored that a little bit more. I think, again, like, it would have been nice to see at least a super mutant, or at least even in the distance, like on the beach, or like in some of those like rivers and canals and stuff like that, you could have seen a Mirelurk just walking past. Like, not even have to interact with it. Like, they could have just seen it from afar, and then it's like, oh, we're going to stay away from there, or whatever like that. Like, it would have been better. Honestly, I do have a funny feeling. I do have a funny feeling we're going to get to see a lot more, which I'm hoping so. Obviously, we're going to get Death Claws next season. I'm gathering that the skull at the fucking on the hill is pretty evident that we're going to see some Death Claws, which, for people that haven't seen that haven't played the video games and are watching this video, Death Claws, they are the toughest enemy in the game. They're not to be fucked with, like, at all. Like, full-blown Death Claws, no. Like, unless you're kitted to the fucking teeth, no. You see a Death Claw, you run the other fucking way. Like, in New Vegas, like if you walk the wrong way, you walk straight into a Death Claw camp. Essentially, hey buddy, get fucked. So, yeah. Like, you can go that way. You're not going to like it, though. But look, genuinely, Fallout New Vegas, for the Fallout TV show was a good, solid start. I think it was done well. I think it was done, I think it was done with passion and love. A lot of people were getting fucking irritated and upset because it's like what the showrunner said. And I'm like, look, like, I don't think you interpreted what he said quite well, because if you watch the trailers and stuff like that, it really does feel like it's a Fallout show. And it's done well. And watching the show, you can tell that I kind of understood what he meant. It was more not to do with the fact that he didn't have the fans in mind at all, which clearly he did. But I think he did it in a way that, again, like, this was done in a perfect way, to bring people that have never played the fucking franchise, never been in the world and stuff like that, and bringing them in. It was done well. It was done very, very well. If you haven't seen the show, I do highly recommend watching it. It's worth it. But as I said, my main criticism was there was not enough creatures. I would have liked to have seen more. Oh, sorry. We did get to see a mutated bear. I don't really care about the mutated bear. I want to see some of the classic ones that we've seen in the past. Granted, I don't mind new ones, but a mutated bear kind of really isn't very inventive, if I had to be honest. So, as I said, doing different things would be better. But I'll leave it there. If you haven't watched the show, go watch it. Even if you've never played the games before, never played games at all, this is a great insight to the type of games that we've played. In a lot of ways, like the storyline wise, and also you get to learn about a lot of this, like not a lot, but a good amount to keep yourself engaged and to understand the story for the most part. It's done very, very well. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys go. I've got shit to do. So take it easy, everybody. Look after yourselves, and I hope to catch you in the next one. See you later.